brand new day. It's the middle of summer. It's overcast, it's windy, and it's cold. Which you wouldn't believe coming from the last 2 scorching days that we've been having. Coming from like 25 degrees hotter just yesterday and the day before. Just absolute craziness. Today's meant to only get up to 19. So yes, much cooler, which I'm not complaining about. Today, I figured we're gonna get out of the city. We're going to be going up here on the metro. Damn, that thing makes a lot of noise. We're gonna go take the metro to none other than Belgrade. Because I want to get out of the city, I want to go see some national parks. I won't tell you which one yet. Right, we're on Spring Street, right at the edge of the free tram zone. Old Treasury building. And then over there, I believe, is the Parliament. Right, we need to get to platform 4 to go to Belgrade, so we need to go further down. Right. Let's keep going.
Your next service to the platform 4 will lead to 7:42 only. From the fourth station to only except East Richmond, via the and always remember to switch on the Wi-Fi at the start of the journey.
Just sitting here waiting for the platform 4 train that goes to Belgrade. They must have had this underground portion for quite a while because the station definitely looks more dated. We're at Melbourne's Central. I mean, just compare it to when I was at the Sydney Metro. Like, they don't have these barriers here, and yeah, the station clearly looks more worn out. So yeah, anyway, we'll compare some of the stations along the way. I'm not sure how often the Belgrade train goes, but yeah, I'll wait for that one. We'll hop on it, and yeah, it's going to be like an hour to get to Belgrade. Alright guys, I'm getting my trusty flip phone out. This thing can do quite a few things that you might not expect of a dumb phone. I use a Cat S22 Flip, for those of you who don't know. That's my phone. I've downloaded the PTV app, Victoria Transport app, because apparently you can better plan journeys with that. So let's see what we can do. Plan. Destination can be Belgrade. You can use this damn keyboard as well, but I don't know, I just do it touch screen. Belgrade. Yes. Starting point. My phone is still on Queensland time, so it says 7:07 AM. 8:19 to 9:31 will be the train, express train to Belgrade. Alright, so that's only in 12 minutes. Okay. Alright, 2 minutes, our train to Belgrade will arrive, so we're going to go through all of these stations right to the very end. Belgrade. Right down there is our hostel, the YHA. That's the building. We've arrived at Belgrave. It's pretty chilly here even compared to the city. Higher up in elevation, we're near the Dandenong Ranges. Yeah. Belgrave.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to Pappingbilly, Australia's premier preserved steam narrow gauge railway. And for all our visitors from China today, Xin Yan Hao, Happy New Year to you all. We hope you do have a lovely holiday here in Melbourne, Victoria.
There's a bunch of tour groups here. Got some information. It's $62 for a return trip on this old steam train. Tickets are all sold out. It's booked out well in advance. I had no idea that this train was even here. So, because I came here just to get up into the Dandenong Ranges, do some hikes. But yeah, we ended up stumbling upon this. Lakeside Visitor Centre Railway Cafe. Alright, we'll find something to eat and then we'll see how we get to Dandenong Ranges. Alright, well, here's breakfast. Belgrave Station mini cafe, souvenir shop and mini cafe in there. An almond croissant, chocolate muffin, and I'm having myself a cappuccino. With this Melbourne trip, I'm becoming a little bit more cultured. Drinking coffee. It is good coffee. In my day-to-day life, I don't drink coffee. I prefer my teas, and yeah, it's exceedingly rare that I actually go out. A smoothie drink that I'll keep for later. I only go out on a hike. But yeah, $25 for the whole lot, including this drink. A bunch of different tour groups. There was just a massive Chinese tour group that arrived in time for the Chinese New Year. So yeah, I got some information. Maybe I'll keep this in mind for the next time I head down to Melbourne. It's like, yeah, it's a shame I couldn't get on, all booked out. But at the end of the day, it's like I really enjoy just last-minute planning. Enjoy my croissant. Yeah, a bit sugary stuff, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go back on a strict diet when I get back. All right, I'm all fueled up. Coffee, croissant, muffin. That'll keep me fueled up for a while. Now there's no excuse not to go for a hike to burn that all off. I found a bus stop. We're going to be taking 694 to Mount Dandenong. It's going to be a half an hour bus ride from here. You really get up into the ranges. There's this very specific walk that I want to do up there that I read about. Kind of a bit funny that they call this a metro. Just a regular train line, honestly. I mean, it has that short underground section, but for the most part it's just a regular train. I mean, it's an older train, clearly, that they have just rebranded into the metro. Overall, regarding Melbourne's train network, train system, metro, I have to say Sydney has it beat. I'm sorry, the double-decker trains of Sydney, I mean, they were more modern, cleaner. Sydney Metro, I'm sorry, but it really is a step up from the Melbourne Metro, from the design of the stations to the fact of the metro being driverless. It's just a cool experience. Wait and see until the city actually finishes construction of the new metro tunnels, and if they roll out these new carriages, then we'll get a proper comparison. But one way in which Melbourne comfortably beats Sydney is the tram network. I mean, that free tram zone in the middle of the city is excellent. Not to mention, I mean, Melbourne's tram network is really quite extensive. It's the most extensive tram network in the world in terms of kilometers of tracks laid, and yeah, really you can take the tram almost anywhere. Like Sydney's light rail system is much newer, much smaller. They're still building parts of it, so Melbourne's is much more established in that sense. But yeah, that free inner city tram area is really good. Really enjoyed that. So I would say Melbourne beats Sydney in terms of its tram network and tram line infrastructure. However, Sydney beats Melbourne in terms of its metro and trains. That's what I'll say. And the last thing we need to compare, of course, is the bus. Which I think, a bus is a bus. It's probably going to be about the same. Right guys, we've made it up to Mount Dandenong. Sky high lookout. Ooh, yes. Look at this. Look what we have here. can probably barely see it with the camera, but city centre right down there. We're high up in the Dandenong Ranges. Yeah, it's mostly overcast and quite misty today, so you can't get very clear views, but right there, Melbourne CBD. Down that way will be Port Phillip Bay, and yeah, going further inland to the rest of the state. Sky high, Mount Dandenong. Melbourne's definitely not well known for, you know, natural beauty, national parks, which is really what I'm into the most. Sydney, of course, you've got the whole harbour, and then you've got leading up to the Blue Mountains. So I'm glad I was able to discover this. It wasn't that easy to dig up the information on quite how to get here without a car, with public transport. But that's, of course, my limitation on a trip like this, not having my own car. But I'm glad I was able to get up here. So it's pretty easy. Central Melbourne, take the metro to Belgrave, and then from Belgrave take a bus 694 to Mount Dandenong. Very easy. Right next to Dandenong Ranges National Park, so there should be some trails pretty close to here. So we'll walk around, find those trails, and go and bring ourselves on a hike. It says if you wish hard enough and look through the magic circle, your wish will come through, but don't wish for too much. Tree fern. The main centre here is closed. Function centre closed. Private event, looks like they're preparing for a wedding or something in here. Secret garden, English garden. So yeah, a lot of these, I thought so, a lot of these trees, plants here are imported from England. Forest walks, main event. Okay. The private garden, private functions only. Yeah, this probably would be used for things like wedding. It is remarkably quiet up here. There's absolutely nothing going on, which is just what I like. Today I really felt like just going far out, seeing if I can get out into nature, break it up a little bit, don't just spend all the time in the city, because that's what I'm interested in. I want to show more hidden spots, and I want to show the environment, the nature. So I'm very glad I found this area. Dandenong Ranges National Park. At 633 meters above sea level, this area was first established as a survey point to assist with the development of a growing city of Melbourne. Today, the development of sky-high Mount Dandenong provides opportunities for visitors to enjoy the spectacular views, short walks, and interesting local history. Mountain ash forests. The forest type common to the surrounding areas of sky-high Mount Dandenong is made up of a mixture of stringy barks and peppermints. However, on the drive up to the mountain, you may have noticed the giants of the Dandenong Ranges. These are the mountain ash Eucalyptus regnans, which is the world's tallest flowering plant, able to grow in excess of 100 meters. That's right, I read about that beforehand. It's a special variety of eucalyptus that can grow up to like 100 meters high. And overall, I believe it's the second tallest tree in the world, only after the North American redwood. Unlike many other eucalypt species which can continue to grow, the mountain ash is killed and must begin its cycle of life from scratch. The nutrient-rich ash bed created by the fire nourishes countless seeds deposited in the soil over decades into life. Can you notice how all the mountain ash trees are roughly the same, similar in width and height? Seeds begin to grow at the same time after fire. So it must be like a cycle where when fire does come through, the whole ecosystem essentially has to completely restart from scratch, as opposed to a large number of native Australian plant species and trees where fire is actually necessary to regenerate and germinate seeds. Seeds begin to grow at the same time after fire, with each tree growing under the exact same climatic conditions. There's a direct link to mountain ash forest in the national park's lyrebird population. Mountain ash drops most of the leaves, sticks and barks of any eucalypt species. All these pile up on the forest floor to create a thick layer of mulch that keeps the soil rich and moist. Perfect living conditions for worms, grubs, which are the lyrebird's favorite foods. Walking along a well-maintained track here next to some beautiful properties. This is definitely a more temperate woodland rather than a rainforest. You can see the canopy is not very thick at all, although the trees are very tall. It's not thick at all. Just massive piles of branches stacked here. I can imagine people living here must use it for firewood. Right then, I'll go down there, Colorama. I'm pretty much right next to someone's backyard. Just ran into another guy who came from this way. I'm gonna start heading back actually, because I was asking him, are there any good views, anything down there? He's like, nope, it's just a street. There's a cafe down there on the street at the end, but nothing much in terms of views. And yeah, this is not the walk I was planning to do. I was just started on this trail, seeing where it leads, but it doesn't seem to lead to anything much. So I'll head back to the main area. The sun's come out a little bit. Warming up now as I continue walking. Planned burn in this area, autumn 2025. Burn through all this undergrowth. That's the plan. These trails are definitely not very touristed. There isn't that many signs, because the walk I wanted to do definitely is touristed. It's on all these blogs that I was reading of best hikes to do around Melbourne. Once again, wearing my trusty hiking sandals. At this stage, I'm pretty much wearing these everywhere. I mean, this is in the warmer months of the year. I'll always be wearing them just for hiking and going out in general. It's just very comfortable. It's good in summer not to wear fully enclosed shoes, but yeah, these still do give like enough support and it's comfortable to walk in. I wouldn't want to really do any off-track in them, of course, like you'd got more protection from, say, snakes, but just going like this on trails, it's perfectly fine. Well, the trails that I'm doing here, not the ones I wanted to actually do. I'm at the wrong place. I came all the way to Mount Dandenong, but I was actually meant to get off at one of the earlier stops to go to do the more touristy hikes. So yeah, I'm glad I checked out the view. It seems most people only come up here for the view at the top. So yeah, that's okay. We'll take the bus a bit further down towards where the actual walks are that are pretty famous around here. But yeah, the trails I was doing, those were completely off the beaten track. Alright, I've gotten off the bus on Sherbrooke Road. This bus was going back towards Belgrave Station, where I came from. Although it was mostly going in the right direction, but to get to where I need to go, it's in the complete other direction. So I need to wait, see if I can find another bus Not sure when that will be, but if we have to wait, I might check out some of these hiking trails down here in the meantime. Alfred Nicholas Memorial Garden Car Park. I'm just walking in the general direction of the walk I want to do. It's the Kokoda Memorial Walk, 1,000 steps. That's where I want to get to. And it says you need to take bus 688, but I can't find bus 688. I've only found 694 that goes up to the top of Mount Dandenong where we were. This bus was going toward the area, but instead of going straight like the other bus would have, it just turned. It took a turn off, and yeah, it's starting to head back towards Belgrave Station, which I don't want to go back there yet. So yeah, we'll walk it if we have to. It's about 5 kilometers to get to the start of the walk, and then I don't know how long the walk itself is, but it'll be at least 5 kilometers to get there. Plus, then of course, if you do any of those hikes, it'll be even more. So yeah, we're in for a lot of walking today, potentially. But yeah, it looks like there's some trails that lead in the general direction anyway, so I will just go and follow them. It's no longer overcast, the sun is out. It's actually beautiful temperature now. It must be somewhere in the low 20s. Yeah, I definitely don't think we're going to have time to do anything else much in the city today. By the time I do all these walks and get back, it'll probably already be evening. So yeah, we'll probably have to save the rest of the stuff I want to do in the city for yet another day. Ooh, wow, look how big these tree ferns are. And all these trees, these are the mountain ash eucalyptus trees. Oof, absolutely massive. Tree ferns here are usually found in Gondwana rainforest. Well, this here is all more temperate rainforest. Like you can see, like I said earlier, the forest canopy is not very thick because these mountain ash eucalypts don't have all that many thick branches or dense canopies, so quite a bit of sunlight goes down. And also the undergrowth here is not very thick, like I can see through it, and if I really had to, I could walk through it much easier compared to being in, say, any of the many Gondwana rainforests scattered across parts of the east coast, like particularly up in Queensland. We've got a lot of that. Following one of the small tracks that goes right along parallel with the main road. 5.3 kilometers, 1 hour 13 to get to Kokoda Memorial Walk. Will be great. Maybe if we're lucky we can catch a bus along the way. If not, well, I'll walk this whole way if I have to. Right, well, my map is telling me to follow Monument Track. It's going to cut away from the road here, go through this woodland. Right, so there's going to be some shooting here from the 21st of February between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Righto. That's Victoria. Yeah, that's the key thing in this forest here. We've got to watch out for these trees because they can drop their limbs. I mean, I think it should be fine now because they had a massive windstorm recently, so all the weak, fragile branches that are subject to fall should already have done so. But yeah, we might see a lot of branches around. But yeah, man, I was looking online at photos of national parks near Melbourne. This is what I saw. Like these massive mountain ash eucalyptus trees along with massive tree ferns in the undergrowth. Keep my eyes out. So only a short section that I have to cut through here anyway. vegetation area, please keep out. Okay. So we'll stick to the track, definitely not wander off. And yeah, watch for any fallen branches. Yeah, look at this. All of this must have fallen recently. Lots of branches. Of course, keeping our eyes out for any slithery friends. Luckily these tracks here are pretty well maintained. There's not too much undergrowth, so I can keep an eye out much easier. I just walked past a lady who was wearing headphones, and I'm just thinking, like, in an environment like this, it's like, why do you need headphones? Why do you need to block out this? Like, I don't understand some people. Like headphones, look, that's actually one thing that I forgot to bring on the trip. It's like I packed my camera, my laptop, external hard drive, all my technology that I need. The only thing I forgot is headphones, and I was a bit annoyed on the first night because I wanted to listen back to some of the footage, like back at the hostel, and of course I don't want to listen to it loud to disturb anyone else. But then in the end I didn't, and a day later, you know what, I really don't care. I really don't mind. It's great to spend these few days without headphones and just, yeah, being forced to listen to the natural world around me, because yeah, like anyone else, I sometimes get caught in those doom scrolling loops of wasting too much time online. Not so much social media like I used to. I mean, I will admit I have been spending more time on social media these last few months than in the last few years. Like I've sort of been slipping back into it, but still I've made a conscious effort to reduce it. One of my main, you could say, addictions is checking my YouTube feed way too often, like multiple times a day. And since making videos, and especially since this channel has really been taking off, I found myself checking my YouTube statistics a lot, like checking to see if there's new comments and looking at the analytics, like way too much, like many times a day. So now I'm really trying to make a conscious effort, like just check it once or twice a day, like just check it once in the morning, once in the evening, reply to any comments, and that's it. That's enough. I mean, for me, what's massively helped is the fact that I don't have a regular smartphone. I mean, I have the Cat S22 Flip, which it's not really a dumb phone. Like, it's got some smartphone features. It's got maps, it's got touchscreen, it runs a light version of Android. So you very much do like 90% of the things that regular smartphones can do. So it's not really right to call it a dumb phone, but still, it's styled like a dumb phone, like an old flip phone. And with the screen being so small, it's like I find I don't really get pulled into checking it all that often, like only really if I have to. Like certain applications on that small screen are very painful to use, and that's sort of enough to stop me from doing like that. I don't really have any social media that I check regularly on there, for instance. But yeah, just getting out into nature, it's like, come on, who needs headphones? Alright, I believe we're coming up to the road now. Just look at these properties here, like just backed onto this beautiful national park. Yeah, this is someone's backyard. Wow. Got some fern trees growing right in their backyard. Wow, have a look at this. I do wonder what these properties would go for. Would probably be a lot more than you would think. Like upon first eyes, like looking at this, it would look quite rural, but still being very close to Melbourne City. We're only about 40 kilometers from the center of the city here, believe it or not. So this real estate, these properties here would still be worth quite a bit. But wow, just in between two worlds, closer to the city, but then right next to this. Right, I've come off this road here down to a road. It's not the main road. The map's telling me to continue up this way, and then that will take me back to the main road. But yeah, I ended up coming out from the back of this road. So it was a private road actually, but there were no signs on the other side, so I wandered out the back of the national park. So yeah, according to this, we're about 3.3 kilometers away. Yeah, according to the original time, I should already be getting close to the destination by now, but I was dilly-dallying a lot, stopping and just looking around, like taking in all that scenery. Like wow, like that sort of forest that we just walked through, that's the exact reason I came up here. So yeah, even if we don't make it to Kokoda Memorial, like that's great. Like that track, wow, spectacular, and definitely not well known compared to the tourist areas. But yeah, I mean, if I planned this properly, like I could have easily just found the correct bus and gone up there. But yeah, it's about these unplanned adventures is also an important part of what it's about at the end of the day. So yeah, let's do it, let's get there. We've made it to the main road, 2.8 kilometers to go, just along here. So on the map there's also a pizza place somewhere up here, so that might be where we have our lunch. If we can if we can get all the way to the walk, check out the Memorial Trail, 1,000 steps, and yeah, potentially have lunch before we go back, that would be great. Right, it's telling me to go onto the side road here. Right, clear? All clear! Let's go across! Fire refuge. Up on here, onto School Road. I can at least go on this side road here, it'll be safer to walk on that. Oh man, why didn't I find that bus? It's all part of the adventure. Getting semi-lost. Well, not really. I have my map. I knew roughly where I was at all times, but it's a matter of finding the appropriate transport or lack thereof to get there. We're almost there. Only 1.5 kilometers to go. It's telling me to go 150 meters this way, turn left onto One Tree Hill Road. Funny name, and then walk another short distance through some woodland on another track, and then we'll be at the start of Kokoda Memorial Walk. Alright, getting back to the national park now. Down there, according to the map, is Lyrebird track, so I'll walk along there a little bit, and then we'll be at the Kokoda Memorial Walk, 1,000 steps. I mean, I've done like way more than 1,000 steps today, that's for sure. I think the starting point or main part of this trail is somewhere else. This is the shortest distance to get here that the map led me to, but yeah, I'm pretty sure this might be the back end of it, it looks like, but if not, we'll just still walk it.
That is very funny.
There you go.
It's like a hot spring to have like this long walk, to make your feet strong. It's like ecology walk. Yeah.
Right, we're beginning the 1,000 steps. I believe it might be referring to this side path here where they put these steps intricately. This whole trail here is a memorial to the battalions that served in the Kokoda campaign, which is one of the most significant parts of Australian military history. So yeah, 1.6 kilometers this way that we're going. I know quite a bit about the history of the Kokoda campaign. I was actually part of the Kokoda youth program back when I was 16, 17. I was on the Gold Coast. We were led in a group of about 20 teens between 16 and 18. So I was there when I was 16, 17. 18-month program. We trained up to do the Kokoda Challenge on the Gold Coast, which is a long 96-kilometer hike. Not everyone in the group was able to do the whole 96 kilometers. There were injuries and real struggle along the way. That was definitely by far one of the toughest experiences of my life, doing that 96 kilometers non-stop, because I mean, before that I'd never been into any of extreme long hiking or running or fitness or anything like that, so it was a real challenge. But yeah, trained up to it. We trained up to it in the group. I hiked the 96 kilometer Kokoda Challenge, and then a few months after that, in September, we actually flew over to Papua New Guinea to hike the real Kokoda Trail that, you know, the diggers back in World War II would have had to walk and fight that brutal campaign, fighting for control of Papua New Guinea against the Japanese. It was a long, grueling, brutal campaign fought in some of the worst conditions along the Kokoda Trail in Papua New Guinea. Australian and Japanese forces during World War II were vying for control over the island. The main strategic importance of it was actually Port Moresby. Australian authorities were very worried that if the Japanese were able to take control of New Guinea, they could then use, for example, Port Moresby as a staging ground and airstrip to launch a full-scale invasion of the Australian continent. So that was probably the most important campaign in modern Australian history. So it was the first time in modern history that Australia was fighting a war with another power that was right on its doorstep. Again, the trek in Papua New Guinea was over 10 days. It's definitely one of the toughest experiences of my life. I mean, really brutal conditions, but then again, I mean, it's hard to imagine, you know, what those diggers during World War II would have had to go through. Just absolute, like, we were there prepared, but they were not at all. They were just thrown into it. It was all just pretty much last minute, you know, send them over just to fight off the Japanese. And yeah, I mean, they couldn't just you know, tap out, you know, leave and go home. Like, they were out there. They were stuck in thick, dense jungle fighting the Japanese. And more soldiers die on both sides of natural causes such as disease rather than actual fighting. It was brutal conditions. It's a tropical rainforest. Malaria, dengue fever, dysentery, it was all rife. So yeah, definitely one of the most important parts of Australian military history. And yeah, really, the Pacific Theatre in World War II and that part of history really gets overlooked a lot, but yeah, Australia did a lot during that time. It was probably the most important military campaign in Australian history. And overall, Australia did manage to fight the Japanese off and retain control of New Guinea, which was a decided turning point in World War II. The first time at that point that anyone had been successful in repelling the Japanese, who had pretty much just rampaged through the rest of Southeast Asia, taking Singapore, Indonesia, all these other parts of Southeast Asia. Behind me I heard some people counting 750, so they're obviously starting at the bottom, walking up, and they're at 750, so that means we're about a quarter of the way down. I mean, I've already hiked a long distance today, but yeah, it is lucky we ended up at the top, otherwise they'd have to be climbing all the way up this, but started at the top, working our way down. You can see the Empire of Japan. They conquered pretty much all of Southeast Asia and were going to get control of all of New Guinea. That's near Port Moresby. That was their last target, trying to take the rest of the island. Here's a map of Papua New Guinea. So there's the Owen Stanley Range, mountain range that goes through the center of the island, just along the peninsula there. Port Moresby, capital, and then right along, starting from Owen's Corner, going all the way up to around Isarava, Kokoda, the town of Kokoda. That's where the airstrip is, the important airstrip. So all along this section here, all these towns, that's the Kokoda Trail. That's where I went over there and hiked as part of the Kokoda youth program. So yeah, the Japanese started on the northern shores. These were the northern towns that they were going further inland, crossing over the Owen Stanley Range. Yeah, they had taken the town of Kokoda right in the center. That's where they had an airstrip, and yeah, we're going all the way down the Kokoda Trail, where Australian troops came and met them, trying to stop them from taking control of the southern half, and especially Port Moresby. I was there, I did this whole trail. It's like starting at Owen's Corner, then yeah, going over. I recognized the names of all these places. We camped on Yeah, the first day we got to like Imida Ridge, it was like starting late. Then somewhere up near Iorubaba Ridge, we were there. Stayed in the town of Minari. I remember Brigade Hill, Efogi Village. Then climbing up here was Mount Bellamy, the highest point, 2190 meters. It's comparing Mount Dandenong at 663 there. I remember Templeton's Crossing, Eora Creek, Isarava Village. That's where there's one of the most significant memorials, Standing Key, and then down to Kokoda. Kokoda, the miraculous true story of courage, endurance, mateship, and sacrifice. These are the 4 values enshrined as part of the campaign. So yeah, on July 21, 1942, first of 15,000 Japanese soldiers landed on the north coast of Papua. So yeah, they were going across the Kokoda Trail, trying to take control of the whole island. The Japanese army cut a ruthless swath through the countries of Southeast Asia. This was a fierce fighting force that was yet to taste defeat. The invaders made their way down the Kokoda Track, an ancient jungle path over the Owen Stanley Range that leads to Port Moresby. So you can see that was essentially what their goal was. Town of Kokoda in the middle there, strategic point, airstrip. They landed on the north shores up here, wanting to go for Port Moresby. Village of Kokoda, with its strategic airstrip, fell to the Japanese on July 29, and although temporarily reoccupied by a 39th Battalion Company on August 8, it was soon again in enemy hands. Famed Battle of Isarava made it heroic. The 39th Battalion made a heroic stand, forming a ring around the track and embodying the 4 key Kokoda values of courage, endurance, mateship, and sacrifice. They managed to hold up the Japanese for crucial days, until fresh fighting men from the 53rd, 2nd, 14th, and 2nd, 16th battalions arrived to relieve them. Courage, endurance, mateship, and sacrifice weren't just words, you see. They were a selfless, life-saving credo that helped make victory a dim possibility against such incredible odds. Over the course of the campaign, more than 13,500 Japanese soldiers died, while over 2,000 Australians and 1,000 Americans were killed. Towards the end of the campaign, American forces arrived, especially to help the Australians to capture and control, especially the towns on the northern beaches here, to stop the Japanese from supplying with reinforcements to the rest of the Kokoda campaign. Kokoda Track, Papua, July 21, 1942 to January 22, 1943. Near the start of the Kokoda Track at Owens Corner, there's this massive cemetery, many of the soldiers that died. Here we have the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels, which is what the soldiers used to describe the natives, who were serving often as carriers, so porters. They helped soldiers carry their supplies, and also they were carriers. They were carrying wounded soldiers on stretchers. 16,000 native Papuans were employed by the Australian New Guinea Administrative Unit, carrying supplies and wounded soldiers up and down the Kokoda track. These native carriers were essential to Australia's ultimate success, particularly because the dense jungle made supply by airdrops extremely difficult. They came from many villages, but were organised into their own unified structured force, taking responsibility for different sections along the track, nicknamed Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels by Australian forces. You see there, carrying a wounded soldier on a stretcher across the river. This is giving me a sense of nostalgia, because in Isarava, one of the villages and important sites on the Kokoda Trail over there is actually a similar monument along the Kokoda Trail with these pillars enshrining these 4 values. And honestly, like, these 4 values here, it's like being part of the Kokoda youth program, walking the Kokoda Trail, like those 4 values definitely have shaped my outlook on life. To this day, I always remember them, and I really now try to live my life by these values, because really, if you live a life with these values, like that's a good life. 1,000 steps memorial walk done. We didn't quite follow the official track as marked out. Of course, we had that big detour trying to get here in the first place, but yeah, I was really actually glad that I just kind of got lost and went off the beaten track. And here we have the 1,000 Steps Cafe, which is closed. It's closed Monday, Tuesday, and on Wednesday to Friday it's open from 9 till 3, so 9 a.m. to 3 p.m, which it's 3:15 now, so obviously it's closed. Weekends 8:30 till 4:30 p.m. Oh well, would have been great to have lunch here, but we're a bit too late for that. Not gonna look for any place for lunch now. I'll get back to the city and we'll have something when we get back there. The next bus arrives in 25 minutes. I'm just walking towards where the bus stop is, because the next one after that will only be after 5 p.m. It's going to be like 2.5 hours after this one. So yeah, buses are not all that often here, only once every few hours. It's a pretty built up area here. Main highway, buses, which is a good sign, and then up there 1,000 Steps Cafe and Dakota Memorial Track. So we're getting up to the main highway here, and there's meant to be a bus stop literally just around the corner. Right down here, we're pretty much back in the city. This is right on the edge of Melbourne city boundaries, basically. Outer suburbs, far east Melbourne. And right up here is the bus stop. Bus 693 to Belgrave. Excellent, that's all we need. I'm gonna change the plans. I've realised I'm actually only 10 minutes walk from Upper Ferntree Gully station, which is one of the stations before Belgrave, so there's no point taking the bus back to Belgrave if I have to go back to the city. I can just walk 9 minutes now to Upper Ferntree Gully station and just, yeah, take the train back into the city from there. Alright guys, 20 minutes until the train to Flinders Street arrives. So I'm just going to wait here at the station and then, yeah, take the express metro back to Flinders Street. I do find it funny how they call it a metro here. I mean, it's just a regular train, but hey, who am I to criticize that? It's a train, it's going to get me back to where I need to go, so let's do it. I'm just here at an Italian place, got back to the city, ordering myself an authentic Italian pizza, and got myself Peroni, 0% non-alcoholic beer, because, well, yeah, I don't drink alcohol, but we'll still try this one.
I have to do it about the tattoo, so I can't just do it.
Tastes like beer. Not really a fan of beer, not a fan of alcohol in general, hence why I don't drink, but on an odd occasion like this I'll have a non-alcoholic beer. $8 for this. Here we have our margarita pizza. Looks very, very nice, very authentic. Good size actually, not overly huge. I'm not such a fan of those overly massive pizzas, so yeah, let's dig in. It's nice and thin crust, and it just tastes how it should really. It's not too heavy. Like the authentic Italian pizzas really seem to be much thinner. You don't feel so like heavy and bloated after eating them. Like this one feels like nice consistency. So it's a nice cheesy one, margarita. Right, that's another day in Melbourne, done and dusted. Very nice pizza, $22, not unreasonable. Getting back to the hostel, and it's the end of yet another day here in Melbourne. Subscribe if you haven't already, give the video a like, and I'll see you all in the next one. Ciao.